What's up, Dominators? My name is Wilson and welcome back to another VG ShiHai video. Today, I'll be bringing you guys through my Angel Feather deck recipe. Okay, so here's the starter. Very standard. The only one starter. Draw a card. It's fair. Let's go through the grade 1 lineup. Grade 0 first, yes. Okay. Okay, so standard 4 heal triggers. Because Angel Feather is also all about healing. This typical 4 heal triggers. And here in this lineup, we are running 8 crits. 4 of each. The reason why we are not running draw triggers in Angel Feather is because, as Angel Feathers, we do a lot of drive checking through our Metatron, and we do a lot of rescue checks using cards like Zerachill, and therefore we might actually deck ourselves out if we are not careful. Therefore, we do not run draws, except for the 4 draw Kanzens that we have. Pretty standard fare. All clans should be running at least 4 draws because it's card efficiency. Okay, so that's all the grade 0s that we have. And let's go on to the grade 1 lineup. For grade 1s, we run all the rares that we can run. First we have the Looters. The skill of this card is, when you play it on an RC, you choose a card from your hand and discard it, and you can get to take a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. Then put one card from your top of your deck into the damage zone face down. Simple as that. Okay, so that's for this Looter over here. And for this, we have the Swapper. This girl's skill is to counter blast 1 and put a card from your hand into the damage zone face up. Take a card from your damage zone. It can be face up or face down, but normally you like to counter blast a card that you like to take, and so that way you generate no loss of counter blast that way. Okay, so next we have the Unicorn. The Unicorn is like the best grade 1 that Angel Feather has because it's the booster for our finisher, the Mobile Hospital. The Unicorn is really unique because for most of the grade 1s that Angel Feather, for most of the grade 1s that other clans have, they usually don't want to write into grade 1s that they can't recover. For example, Million Red. Normally you like to write into perhaps the 8k base that Murakumo has, other than Million Red, because you rather have 4 copies of it in your deck so you can still tutor it out. But the thing is that having Pegasus in as your first write isn't bad. In fact, you actually want to write into this guy first, because using cards like our grade 2 lineup, using cards like this girl over here, she allows you to bring cards from your drop zone. Okay, as soon as if this turn a card has been placed into your damage zone, you can activate her skill on place, which is to counter blast 1, choose a card from your drop zone and call it to RC if this card is called from hand. That's sick, right? So normally what you like to do is to use this guy's skill over here to Soul Blast use this guy's skill to Soul Blast away the Pegasus that you wrote when you were grade 1, and then use her to call the Pegasus to the back row and set up for your future Mobile Hospital turns. So this guy's skill, on right or on place from hand, Soul Blast 1, and choose a card from your damage zone. It can be face up or face down, and call it to a rearguard circle. Take the top card of your deck and put it into your damage zone face down. So pretty standard fare. You like to run 4 of him because he's really strong. And the last card that we have for grade 2s are our unicorns. Pegasus. Million Ray Pegasus. The grade 1 was 1000 Ray Pegasus, if you guys haven't noticed. Yeah, so this is Million Ray. As long as this turn a card has been put into your damage zone, it doesn't have to be on your turn. This card gains 5000 power and 5000 shield value. So it counts even from your hand. So when you call it to a Guardian Circle, it becomes a 10k Guardian. And it's really not bad. So it punishes your opponent for not killing this guy first. And you like to run 3 of this because it makes up space for our grade 3s, in which are here. We run 4 of the VRs, pretty standard fare, I guess. Zerachill. For a VR, she isn't really the strongest VR that we have to date. For example, we have stuff like Cecilia that allows you to call 3 units with 1 counter blast and 1 unit stack. But hers is a different level because with her skill, you can stack protects very easily. Skill is that X skill. From your damage zone, write this onto your Vanguard circle face up if your opponent is grade 3 or greater. And put the top card of your deck into your damage zone face down. So this is really good because if you have 4 of it face up in the damage zone, you can just write all 4 at the same time and get 4 protects. But most of the time that is very risky because it leaves yourself empty of counter blast, and that's not what you want because we have another great tree to show, in which is our Metatrons. Our Metatrons are the key grade 3 of the deck. While Zerachill gives the 3k bonus, in order to hit Force Cleanse, Metatron is the real star of Angel Feather because she allows you to have unconditional healing. Counterblast 2, choose a card from your damage zone, face up or face down, and call it to RC. And you don't even have to put the top card of your deck into the damage zone. That's sick, right? But the second skill is also another kicker because it allows you to counter charge passively. Every single turn, you can X skill once per turn. Choose a card from your damage zone and put it to the bottom of your deck. So most of the time, whenever you ride into her, you like to counter blast one trigger unit and the normal unit that you like to call. Then once after that, you can put the trigger unit to the bottom of the deck and do a drive check. Or a damage check, to be more precise. And triggers do activate from that, and that gives you a lot of value. So Metatron is if you drive check into her, she's basically a heal trigger, but delayed. Yep. Oh yes, and also to mention 15k on right, so that allows you to hit a lot of clans and like hit everything. So that's why most of the time, if you damage check into any trigger, for example a critical trigger, you like to pump a crit to her and power to something else, so they have no choice but to Kanzen your Vanguard. And this is our all-star for our Angel Feather deck, and that is our Mobile Hospital Feather Palace. Yeah, self-explanatory. It's Angel Feather's Waterfall. It's Mega Blast but revisited. So when he attacks, or when it attacks, Soul Blast 2 grade 3 from your soul, and then turn all cards in your damage zone face down. This unit gets plus 20k and 1 critical, and your opponents cannot call Sentinels from their hand onto the Guardian Circle, which makes it really scary and a force to be reckoned with. So normally, how it works is that you normally use Metatron to try to call it out during your so-called final turn. Try to call it out on a rearguard circle behind the Unicorn, so that the Unicorn is directly behind it, is able to boost, and then perform the damage check. This is actually more stable if you can. This combo is actually more stable if you can have a Zerachill in the damage zone. So after the damage check, if you have a trigger, pump everything to the hospital. Then once you're done with that, you can ride the Zerachill over and give it a 3k and make it more dangerous in order to kill people. So that is really ridiculous. Okay, so with this, it really cuts it out really well because even though it needs you to turn all the cards in your damage zone face down, the Pegasus skill allows you to trigger it first, which allows you to counter blast it and give it 10k upon boosting, as long as card has been put into your damage zone this turn, which makes it really strong. And I think that's okay. So it's like okay. So let me give you an example. All right, let's clear this out for a moment. Okay, so here's an example of the so-called game-winning combo that I've established. So here, let's remove our protect markers. And yes, so this is our Metatron that we want to ride into, and this is our deck. And yeah, this is our Metatron, and let's just say that we have a few cards face down. Maybe let's just say one more card face down, like this. And okay, and just give me a moment to set this up. Okay, so normal cases, if we have a Metatron and there's a hospital, normally the hospital is really strong because it's very resilient. Like Angel Feather is totally resilient. Let's just say if it's in a drop zone, right, you have the grade 2 to rescue it no matter how bad the situation goes. So we have this. And if you call it from hand in that case, ideally you like to take 3 damage, so you can always like heal. You can always heal it when you have Metatron. So that way it doesn't hurt you when you break right. It doesn't lose. You don't lose tempo when you break right. So it's actually, yeah. 5 damage is okay. The times when you want to ride into Metatron is when you have counter blast, like legit 2 face up counter blast. That way you won't lose tempo when you ride into Metatron. It actually hurts sometimes when the opponent like hits you until you're like this, Yeah, this is the worst feeling, and they don't do the last damage to you. That way you can't counterblast and use Metatron skill and all to call one out. So with that, right, it feels terrible to ride into a Metatron without healing. So in most cases, you try to keep like 2 damage face up, because once you ride into Metatron, counterblast 2, you get 1 protect, you put 1 rear guard. You can always heal the bottom rear guard and take the top card. So the next turn, you can always take 1 more damage. And then if you have another Metatron, you can ride it over, repeat the process. That way you don't lose any tempo. Okay, so in such a case where you have this out on the board and you have like maybe 2 Great Trees in your soul, this will be your likely finisher, okay? So maybe you have a Pegasus in your hand, or yeah, something like that, and a Metatron. Yes. So what you like to do is you ride into the Metatron, you counterblast 2 over here, counterblast 2. But most of the time you want to counterblast the trigger, but for draw triggers, you don't want to return the draw trigger back to your deck because it's very fatal. You can deck out, and that's not what you want. You get the hospital, and then you attempt to do a rescue check. You put this to the bottom of your deck. Remember, don't return the draw trigger. If it's a critical trigger, return the critical trigger back to your deck. Then perform a damage check. Then if it's a critical trigger, or any other triggers, pump it to the hospital. Then call the Pegasus. Then normally, since there's no power boost from like a Zerachill or anything, in the case where there's a Zerachill and the opponent's an Excel clan or Protect clan, you can always use this rear guard to attack the Vanguard. But in the case where there's no Zerachills, use this to attack their Grade 2, so that they lose that 5k worth of shield no matter what. And then you attack with your Vanguard, you perform a Twin Drive, and in case of any triggers, pump it to the hospital. Then once you're done, you attack, use this skill, counterblast 1 first, so it's an 18k booster now. Then, using the hospital skill, Soul Blast 2, Soul Blast 2 Great Trees, and then you turn everything face down. But this is very dependent. Normally you like to do this if the opponent is at 4 damage and you know that he is unable to guard, because this leaves you very vulnerable and it makes you lose tempo on your next Metatron ride, which is actually very potentially fatal. In the most case of Protect clans, riding into a Great Tree no matter what is actually value, because you don't actually lose cards. But Metatron is a whole different matter, because gives you 1 Protect, it heals 1 damage, and it counter charges you for 1. So that's what makes Metatron very busted. And yeah, and that's the reason why Angel Feather is very playable in the first place. If you were to give, like, if Angel Feather never had Metatron, it wouldn't have been playable. Zerachill would have been like Protect Maelstrom. Yeah, that's about it. And with that wraps up everything. And yeah, so like what the riddle, like you know what all the poems always say about these kind of ridiculous decks. Johnny. Hi, Ototo.
砂糖を食べる
家
弟嘘をつく
次の行は家弟
なに
ははは